Welcome everybody. This is going to be the final video in our episode 1 deep dive. So we did Tatooine, Coruscant, and Theed Palace, and now we're going to do Reflections 3, which was the last set they made. I think it was technically released before Theed Palace though. So this is supposed to sort of be a capstone set for the rest of the Star Wars CCG. So this is the ultimate collector's item, and I will be opening this pack of Reflections 3 at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. So we're going to do a little bit of a good, the bad, and the ugly, but first let me give an overview of the set. So in front of me I have the 4 ultra rare foils. So I was doing some research and one of the guys on the boards did the math, and the chances of pulling an ultra rare from this pack is about 1 in 200. So we will see if we get lucky with this. Chances are no. But there's 100 different foils. There's 4 ultra rares, 27 very rares, which are like common, and then 54 super rare foils. And my math might be wrong, and it might not add up to 100, but basically, more than likely, you're gonna get a super rare foil from pulling this, and these are not gonna happen. So in addition to 100 foils, there was 100 premium cards. So premium cards were additions and sort of reprints of old characters, and we'll get into what they were and why they're extremely broken, but I'm just gonna have a quick look at each of these. So you have the Qui-Gon, you have a 3PO with his part showing. This one might actually be my favorite, to be honest. And then this is sort of the ultimate chase card in this whole game. So Darth Maul, foil like this, you know, it's $500, $600, $700, and then the P-59, which was a random droid on the first part of the movie where they're kind of running around the blockade ship. So I think the 4 of these, you know, you'd be looking for quite a tidy sum. You know, you'd have to check eBay if you can find listings. So these are the 4 ultra rares, and then there's 96 other foils as well. So let's jump into it. I'm just going to leave these here because I think they're fun to look at. So you can kind of look at the top of the screen. Let's start off with the good. So what did Reflections 3 do that was good? So by this point in the game, you're like 6 years into a card game, and there's a lot of balance issues that were coming up. And instead of banning cards from play or sort of massive, there was a little bit of errata issued, but you know, it was really hard to do when you had to physically mail people cards. Instead, they introduced something called shields. So the idea was you're going to start with each of these as your starting effect, which was different than a starting interrupt. So both of these allowed you to put 10 of these shields. So Reflections 3, I believe, had a total of 34 shields. It was like 16 dark side, or 16 light side, 18 dark side or something. And basically, as things came up and if an opponent was using a more abusive strategy, you could deploy one of these shields. And I just have 2 here, but it kind of gave another element of the game. However, I will say that this is almost also a bad in my book because it added more complexity. For new players, the shields can be really daunting. I've had to like relearn how to use them as I came back to the game because there's just so much there. But basically, you put this down and then you had 10 of these shields that you got to choose, and then that didn't count towards your life force, and you could sort of play them as needed, and the opponent would most likely have the same thing. And essentially everybody plays with shields now, from what I understand. And it's really partially used to counter the more abusive strategies like pod racing or the Senate, which I think we've covered in previous videos. So let's get in, or additionally, a couple more things that were good. These are kind of throwaways, but I like more weapons. They did a Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan lightsaber as well. I think it's nice. And then there's a couple of these. This is just one I grabbed, Ewok Celebration, just trying to make Ewoks better, right? I appreciate they didn't just abandon the little bears to Endor. They tried to make, you know, the whole meta a little better. It didn't necessarily work, but they tried there. So let's move on to the bad. This is kind of a big stack of bad. So I tried to rank it from least bad to worse. There's just a whole bunch of mains that were released. You know, it's partially as fan service, right? This is sort of the last set and like the swan song for this company. So they just released a whole bunch of mains as premiums. And they're just really OP. So let's start off with the Leia. She's just very good. And this Lando, I think, is so broken. They also introduced this mechanic, which was never seen again, of maintenance. So every turn you had to use a force or lose 2 force or he would die. And in a game that's already rather complicated, this is just more stuff. But this Lando is so good. Destiny 5. This Chewie is also extremely good. I think actually Lando's better than Chewie. And then this Millennium Falcon is just broken. It just when you have this level of power creep that happens in a game, it just makes it less fun, right? And like this is like a one-man army, this ship. You could just like deploy this and kind of be fine, right? Is that your entire space package? Am I saying you shouldn't use these cards? No, like they're fun cards, and if everybody's kind of playing with this stuff, then it's fine. But these decks that use these cards are just like this card could easily like destroy an entire like Star Destroyer fleet, right? Immune to attrition less than 6, just very powerful. But I actually think this Boba Fett is even more broken. So he adds 2 Battle Destiny if with Vader. So if you have him with Vader, you're getting 3 Battle Destiny just right off the bat. That is insane, right? Only deploys for 5. They added this maintenance cost, but I don't think it offsets the general like OP-ness of his text. These are just so good. I don't need to delve in too much, but just really powerful. Could be partnered with a bunch of other cards. But I actually think Blizzard 4 is the biggest broken card in this set. And I'd be curious to see what the other folks think. But because it had this text that you could deploy an Imperial Warrior board for free, you could just grab Veers, right? And all of a sudden, like you have like a very. I think they were trying to make Hoth and AT-ATs good again, but this was probably too powerful. They could have said, well, you may deploy -2 or something. But the fact you could get basically a free warrior, I mean, even Vader, right, is a warrior, I think, right? So you could just get some really kind of broken stuff happening with Blizzard 4. So this is the bad. And for the ugly, I just want to say that for a 100 card premium set, so there's 100 of these cards, to make 6 of them related to these damn giant fish is just like kind of lame. So there's, I think if you remember in episode 1, there was like these giant sea monsters that chase Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan around, and they made 6 different cards for these like sea monsters that had like 6 minutes of screen time. And generally speaking, I just think it's kind of lame, right? You're going to use up like, 6% of your cards in this on these random sea creatures. You could have added in more, Naboo characters. You could have added in more droids. You just could have, I understand that when, resources are constrained, like you have to think about the choices you're making. They're very active choices, right? And so these cards are actually fairly good. I just wish they would have gone, maybe just had 2 sea monsters and not 6 sea monsters. But that's just me. That's the ugly in Reflections 3. So let's get to our pack opening. So this is essentially watching me just light money on fire. So I hope everyone enjoys this. So what are we looking for? We are looking for any ultra rare foil. So that's the 4 at the top. But there's a whole bunch of really good super rare foils as well. So there's a Qui-Gon that's pretty good, as well as a whole bunch of, I'm trying to think of the foils. There's a Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, or not Jedi Knight, Rebel Scout. I have to like figure out how to open these packs. I just don't do it often enough, so it's like every time it feels like it's the first time. So there's also a whole bunch of garbage in here. So near the end of the game, they just kind of like throwing things in here as they had them. So we're looking at some White Border Premier, which is probably just not even worth the paper, but you can get rares in here. So we're looking for our foil, any ultra rare foil or any main foil would be great. And then for our premium cards, because you got 4 of the premium cards, you get 4. We are looking for, no, I'm sorry, you get 3 of the premium. We are looking for the Boba Fett or, you know, any kind of main. I don't remember what is rare in this. So now we have some Jabba's Palace. Another rough one that was overprinted. And it looks like our foil, oh no. this is not a great foil, let's just say. So this is, I think this is a very rare foil. This is not the one we wanted. But, you know, it happens. Blast Proficiency, this is a good card. Okay, and here come our premiums. So 1 shield, prepare surface attack. Something redeeming. Force push. So this is one of these random cards in this that goes for about $50 because of it being virtualized. So essentially when cards are virtualized, there's still the players committee that puts out cards and they add new text to make the text a little bit better, or to make the card a little bit better, to breathe new life into it. So this is not all lost. I think the rest of these are not great. Definitely didn't want to get this as our foil. But, you know, it happens. What can you do? That's what happens when you open these packs. It probably should stay sealed. So that is all for me. And comment if I missed some of the rares in here. I can't remember what was rare. Like, is this? I don't think this is a rare. There's probably a rare somewhere in there that I just didn't recognize. So thanks everybody for listening, and this is going to be the last video in this series. And if you have any other video ideas or requests of what I should do next, please feel free to let me know. Thanks.